Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Who is going to take the lead?
My Lord, I'll be
Governor.
take over from my colleague. My Lord, just to place on record, as discussed this morning, Ms. Postman is unfortunately unwell and she will not be joining us for this week.
Yes, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you, my Lord. So I will be taking over from her for this week, my Lord.
Very well.
My Lord, at this stage, I'd like to recall Captain Peterson.
Thank you. Captain is here. Yes.
Vaughan William Peterson, my lord. No, my lord. Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord. So help me God.
Thank you very much. Captain.
Morning, morning.
Captain Peterson, since the last time we were here at court, you were requested again to continue with the investigation in this matter, and specifically you were asked to obtain, to get the 3 Scaries, or at least 2 of them, to come and testify. You testified the last occasion, you had obtained affidavits from, is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
Can you please give this court a brief explanation of what efforts you made to get the 2 Scaries to court, and what was the results?
My lord, once I received the summonses from the DPP's office, I contacted both Mr. Fakasi and Mr. Oliphant. Unfortunately, my lord, the week after the 15th, I got no response from them. I continued with the messages on WhatsApp, because normally Mr. Fakasi would answer me immediately once I chatted to him on WhatsApp. But it didn't happen. I tried to get hold of Oliphant, again, no luck. On Friday morning, I got hold of Mr. Oliphant, informed him what the situation was. He wasn't happy, my lord. I won't express his dissatisfaction with my phone call, but I eventually then contacted the DPP's office and informed Advocate Coltman to what transpired. Mr. Vakasi did contact me on Friday morning as well. We spoke. However, Saturday afternoon was the last time that he spoke to me that I was able to find out, because he was, according to my understanding, that it wouldn't be a problem for him to come to court. But I've had no communication with him since Saturday afternoon, and even this morning, absolutely nothing. And that's what the situation is at this stage.
Captain Peterson, can you also confirm that our office, through Advocate Coltman, also got a hold of Mr. Oliphant and attempted to, or requested that he attend, and he refused to speak to, or well, he spoke to Mr. Coltman, but again, refused to attend court as well?
I can confirm that. Directly after the phone call, Advocate Coltman did phone me and say that he experienced the same problem that I had.
Well, then with the leave of the court, I would like to hand in the affidavits of the 3 Ascari members. I'm going to ask Captain Peterson to read them into the record, my lord.
Very well.
The first would be that of Wilson Goodman Twala. My lord, may that be marked as Exhibit VV. Captain Peterson, could you confirm? Is that the affidavit that was obtained from Mr. Twala?
That's correct, my lord.
Can you please read that into the record?
Wilson Goodman Twala states under oath in English: I'm an adult male, identity number 6006065858087.
Sorry, Captain Peterson, you can skip paragraph 1.
Okay, thank you.
Go to paragraph 2, please.
On Tuesday, 2025-07-15, at about 3:30, Captain Peterson from the DPCI Eastern Cape office visited my workplace. We had arranged to this meeting. Sorry, my lord, I forgot my glasses in my vehicle, and the guys have left with my vehicle. So, yeah, I squint my eyes. I'm just trying to make sure.
Which paragraph are you now?
Paragraph 2. I'm going to paragraph 3 now. During my interview with Captain Peterson and Captain Madlakana, numerous questions were asked regarding my role as an askari during the late 1980s to early 1993. I was part of the askari group of the ANC comrades who were turned against the ANC. This happened after 1988 when I was arrested. When I chose to be an askari, I was transferred to Vlakplaas, situated on the border of Pretoria. At that time, Eugene de Kock was the commander, and my core function was to go out with other handlers and search, page 2, search any ANC comrade who was fighting the then government. Many times we would travel throughout South Africa to do our work. We always had handlers with us. I cannot recall my handlers at the time. It is possible that he at time worked with, it is possible that we at times worked with members of the askari unit based in East London, but I cannot recall any names of those working there. I was never based in East London, and neither did I ever kill or hurt anybody from my former commanders. He was sure. Yes, we did receive checks from the SA Police in 1993 after the Vlakplaas unit was closed, and most of us, as far as I can remember, parted ways with SAPS. I also want to state that during 1991 and 1992, I was shot in my left leg and lost my leg below the hip due to the injuries due to the severity of my injuries. After receiving the check, many of us were unhappy with what we received. However, due to being scared of the cop, I never complained. Yes, many of other people were paid huge amounts, but if you question it, you could have been killed. If you questioned, you could have been killed. That's regarding to the checks by either the cock or his men. I cannot recall any of my askari friends. However, one must remember, we were never called by our real names. Mostly we were called by our work names, of which I had 3. Many times identity numbers and names were false as to protect us. I hope this answers any questions. It would be wrong of me to state that the askaris of East London would have attacked the Highgate in East London. That was not our thoughts. However, it would not make sense that this hotel, which is unknown to me, would be attacked due to the payments we received, and that the askaris called have done it due to the insufficient funds received. Unless there is proof to the allegations, I would say it could not be. That's my thoughts. Signed by Mr. Twala, my lord.
Thank you, Captain Pearson. My lord, the second affidavit is by Mbezi Suzani Kazi. May I ask that this be entered as exhibit WW? My lord, will you leave the court, seeing that Captain Peterson is struggling with his eyes? May I read it into the
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you, my lord.
Captain Peterson, you can confirm if this was the affidavit. Mbezi Suzani Vakazi states under oath, my lord, I'm going to skip paragraph 1.
Yes.
Paragraph 2, he goes, during 1998, I was part of the UPLA movement fighting for the freedom of black people in South Africa. I was then arrested in the late 1988 and was in prison until 1989. When in March of 1989, I became a member of the Askaris. I was later transferred to the farm in East London, which was then the base for us and the security branch of East London. I was placed at the East London farm until 1993. My duties during this time was to go out with other members of the security branch and identify either freedom fighters as to get them turned to join the said South African government. Can't read were being sent off the unit was, my focus was of this unit was,
Part of the unit,
part of the unit was the
same as that
of the commander or Colonel Delanga,
yes.
and just wanted to ensure that the change throughout South Africa be fine, and any fights and killing of innocent civilians. In fact, all our handlers at that, unfortunately my copy is not very clear. Furi, Kenny Koopman, I cannot recall all of them, only the ones came to mind, and that was working towards better South Africa. During 1993, I cannot recall the precise date, the whole unit was called to flak class in Pretoria. We were then informed that the unit was closing, and I was issued with my check, and we stayed there for a day or two before we all parted ways. I did not return to East London, but stayed in Gauteng where my family resided. I find it impossible to believe that any of my colleagues who returned to East London and would have decided to attack the Highgate Hotel in Cambridge. The hotel was never disclosed, used as a threat to anybody's safety, and that was not all then. Yes, there were individuals in our ranks who were part of the other attacks after the disbandment of the unit. As far as I recall, those that were involved were all arrested. I've not had any contact with any of my former colleagues, and will thus be possibly unable to provide any details of such. I again state that I cannot think that any of my colleagues would have been involved in the Highgate attack. It just does not make sense to me. Our main objective was to ensure a peaceful transition. Is that the statement that you obtained?
That's correct, my lord.
From Bukatsu? My lord, the last statement is from Petrus Olifanti, and the legal court may this be marked Exhibit YY.
You will?
My lord, may I read this?
Yes.
My lord, again I will skip paragraph 1.
Yeah.
I wish to state that I was part of the Skari unit which was stationed in East London, in Eastern Cape Province in 1992. I was arrested in 1991 in Southansburg in Limpopo. Then I was taken to East London where I was part of the Skari unit there. Our duties was to point out any former ANC comrades throughout the Eastern Cape Province. During 1992 I was involved involvement in the Mdansani NU12 and was later found guilty for culpable homicide. I was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment, which was suspended for 5 years. After the sentence, I returned back to Gauteng, where I was living until today. During 1993, I was contacted, but I could not remember who, and told that there was a check for me from the police because the unit was closing. The check was deposited at Southern Security. I do not know about the attack at Highgate in East London. Even I never was involved in any working or killing. I only remember that I was working with Sergeant Ken Koopman and Lieutenant Cobus Smith. Is that the affidavit of Mr. Lufan?
That's correct, my lord.
So, Captain Pierce, then is it correct that all 3 of the Askaris have indicated to you, even during your conversation with them, that they know nothing about the Highgate hotel attack and they had no involvement in the attack itself?
That's correct, my lord.
Now, Captain Pearson, since the last time, is it also correct that you managed to come across or find the investigation diary of the previous investigating officer, Captain Bernal?
That's correct, my lord.
Can you please briefly explain to us what happened?
My lord, a question was asked by Advocate Bosman regarding the investigation diary. We then started asking questions and just really scratching around where we could, phone my colleagues in Pretoria, and eventually we discovered the investigation diary of Captain Nell.
Captain Peterson, is it correct that the investigation diary actually comes in two parts? The first one marked C1 to C9, and the second one C1 to C60.
That's correct, my lord. The first one was the period when they started the matter during COVID. The first investigation, then a new file was opened, which is the second lot, before it was forwarded to our offices in the Eastern Cape.
My lord, with the leave of the court, may I hand in both these investigation diaries marked Exhibit ZZ1 and ZZ2?
Very well, thank you.
Captain Peterson, I'm not going to go through the entire diary with you, but there's a lot of entries in the diary regarding Captain Nell's discussions with the previous investigating officer, Captain Else. Is that correct?
That's correct, my lord.
And from my reading of the investigation diary, nowhere in that investigation diary is there any mention of Captain Else telling Captain Nell about the so-called structure that he had seen outside of Port Elizabeth that was testified by Mr. Molokane and Mr. Botha.
That's correct, my lord.
No further questions.
Thank you.
But look, before I start, we were provided a statement from Captain Peterson himself,
Yeah.
but I see that hasn't been handed up. I wonder if that should be written to the record as well. He has an extra copy if you.
Sorry, Mama.
Yes,
For the leave of court.
very well. I'm going to deal with it further.
Yes,
Affidavit, very well.
Captain Pearson, the leave of court, can you please read this affidavit into the record?
Thank you, my lord. I'll start from paragraph 2.
Yes.
It says, on 2025 07/20, I received information that a witness in the Highgate investigation, Mr. Bruce Murray Arnold, is currently living in Hogsback. On my return to East London, I proceeded to Hogsback and met Mr. Henderson at the old Hogsback Inn Hotel. He confirmed that Bruce Arnold used to live there, and he has now, him and his wife used to live there, sorry. Sue, sorry, my worship. It's not that I can't read my own handwriting, I just can't see it properly. He confirmed that Bruce Arnold did live there for a while, however, he and his wife Sue had, I presume, have left, have moved, thank you. He then provided me with Sue Arnold's telephone number. Mr. Henderson also informed me that Mr. Arnold also gave me Mr. Ryan Arnold's number. That is the brother of Mr. Arnold. I tried contacting Mrs. Sue Arnold, however, she didn't answer. I left numerous messages, but she did not reply. On Tuesday, 28/07/29, while in Hogsback again, I contacted Mr. Ryan Arnold. He informed me that Bruce Arnold is his brother, and that Bruce was somehow involved in some. I explained to him that Bruce was somehow involved as a witness regarding the Highgate matter, and he would not recall what it was about. I requested Bruce's telephone number, but he informed me that I should rather contact Sue Arnold or Bruce because Bruce was diagnosed with cancer and that it had now affected his whole body as well as his brain. He further stated that Bruce was totally unable to communicate. He also stated that Sue had moved Bruce back to East London and that they are now living with at his mom's house, parents' house. On Wednesday, 25/07/30 at 18:30, I contacted Sue Arnold and she informed me that Bruce was currently in Free Hospital, where he has been today to sorry. My lord, related to cancer, I cannot see that. She further stated that Bruce had lung cancer. While this has spread, in fact, which has spread to his brain, he is unable to talk and walk, and is under sedation to make him a little more approachable, as the doctors want to try and treat the brain cancer. He is not well and will not be able to give evidence, she said. I proceeded to the hospital, but on my arrival, the sister informed me that Mr. Arnold was not doing well. I decided not to pursue his witness any further. Sorry, my lord.
Yes, no, very well.
It's just my
Thank you,
lord.
my lord. My lord, sorry, we're just trying to clarify the next exhibit number.
Yes, very well. It will be 888.
Yeah. Sorry, my lord, we seem to have skipped an exhibit XX. So we're going to ask for this to be marked as exhibit
This
XX.
will be 888. Very well.
Afterwards are confusing us.
No, very well.
Captain Student, just for completion's sake, can you please indicate who Mr. Arnott is?
Mr. Arnold was a patron in the Highgate on the evening of the attack, but he left just before the attack, and he arrived as the one witness, which we haven't been able to trace, Raymond Lombard, was shooting back at them, and then he said to him, "Stay in your car, we're being attacked," and that's where his linkage is to the Highgate matter.
Thank you, Captain Pearson. Any further?
Thank you, Mr.
As the court pleases. Captain, I hope you're doing well. I understand that you've been under the weather, but thank you so much for making it to court.
Thanks, my lord. Thank you.
These three Askaris who haven't made it to court this week, were subpoenas issued against them?
My lord, subpoenas were issued. I received the subpoenas from the DPP's office. I, however, did not have them issued to them personally because I couldn't get hold of them until Friday and to confirm that they are still at the address where they are, so that we could have the relevant subpoenas issued.
So we're unable to ask the court to issue warrants of arrest against them because they only received them on Friday. Is that right?
That's correct, my lord.
I've got a few questions arising from the statements that you've written to the record. And let's start with Twala. Lord, that's exhibit VV. So Wilson, Goodman, Twala. It seems he claims in paragraph 8 that he was actually never based in East London. But in paragraph 9, he says, I also want to state that during 1991/1992, I was shot in my left leg and lost my leg below the hip due to the severity of my injury. Did he indicate what?
What is that? Paragraph 9.
That's paragraph 9, my lord. It's on the second page of Mr. Twyler's statement.
What is mine? Oh, they have a different document. This is Wilson Goodman Twala. And I'll tell you the date now.
Is it handwritten or typed?
It's handwritten. The date that I have is in the stamp 15th of 27th to 2025, 1,700 hours. Does it coincide with yours?
No.
Lord, I think we need to get you. Is my lord in the possession of the original?
Yes, I have an original handwritten. What is it? But it appears to be different from the one that you have.
I wonder if we can ask the captain to take a look at that.
Yes, perhaps I can give it to the captain. He can clarify what this one is that I have.
My lord, this is a statement I took from him,
Yes.
and then to sign, he took it back to sign. He wasn't happy with it, and we retook this one here that I have here with me.
Okay.
And that was the final one that he was happy with, because we asked the question of another person. It was also part of the. Sorry, my lord, can I continue?
Yes, yes, very well. Very well.
That we asked regarding. He mentioned a name, Vusani,
Yes.
Kolelwa Vusani. That was also part of the Askaris.
Yes.
And she was killed, and she's linked to another matter of a case in Tata, and it's those things that we spoke about.
Yes.
And he just said to me that it's got nothing to do with the Highgate matter,
Mm.
and that this is completely different. Although most of the stuff, so I said no, that's fine. So we retook the statement,
All right.
and we had it signed.
So that is an earlier.
This is the earlier, the one.
An earlier draft or what?
Yeah. Yes, yeah,
And
because
then
this.
you did the subsequent one that you
That's
have in
it.
your possession now.
That's right. Because this one here, in fact, I've got the times wrong here. This one is now just because this one is 17. No, my lord. The one I've got that I'm reading of, that's the
Yes.
first one we took.
The first one.
Yes. But then we asked him questions about Vusani and everything. And that's when I took the second one regarding the Vusai, because she's linked to a shooting in Umtata.
Oh, so not strictly linked to.
No,
The
not
Highgate
linked to the
incident.
Highgate. No.
I understand.
Because there's three names that we were wanting, and he said he knew about Kolelwa Vusani, sorry. And then we also spoke, if I correctly, just want to go through, there was another one, because we're looking for another Twala as well, that we couldn't trace, that he knew about, but he couldn't give us any information regarding that. Yeah. So this is the one, this matter is actually for the Intata matter.
All right.
I think it's a Northwest, if I'm not mistaken, but it's not, yeah.
So the relevant one is
The relevant one
the
is,
the earlier one, the
the
first
earlier
one.
yes,
All right.
yes,
So hopefully there's another copy of that one.
yes.
We do have a spare copy.
Yeah. If you could, then you can retain the one that's not strictly relevant for our purposes.
So this one is for, sorry ma'am, this is I gave it to the advocate this morning, and apologies for the court, that is on the matter of the Tata matter.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, that's clarified. Sorry, Mr. Wani.
My lord, you now have a copy of the correct exhibit V.
Yes, so you said that you were reading from paragraph 9, was it?
Yes.
And what is the point that you were making? I just want to make sure we do have the same document.
Yes, I'll just
Oh
read
yes, I was
the-
shot in my left leg.
That's right. He says I was shot in my left leg. He said during 91, 92, I was shot in my left leg.
All right, so it's the same document, thank you.
Yeah. He says he lost his leg just below the hip due to the severity of the injury.
Yes.
If we can just pause there, did he explain what was the circumstances or incidents of the shooting in which he was shot?
My lord, Mr. Twala was all over the place, if I could state it like that. Never stuck to the questions that we asked him. He would jump around the whole time and he would change it. But he never gave us an explanation to how he was shot or where he was shot. He said, I was shot, I lost my left, and then he knocked on his leg, indicating to us. But when we asked, but now what happened there, he never gave us any answer to that.
So did you not ask him whether it was part of a flapglass operation or some other, was it a domestic incident perhaps?
My lord, I can recall that we did ask him, but if there was an answer, I can't recall that. Sorry.
And before I proceed, you I just want to make sure that I got the name correct. Was it a Tolile Ingabane?
No, it was Tolile Vusani Kolelwa. It was a female with the name of Kolelwa Vusani.
Okay.
Vusani, the surname. My lord, she was also, if I can just give the court, she was also part of the group of Askaris that were placed at East London, which she was killed in 1993, 1994, if I'm not mistaken.
In a shooting incident.
In a shooting incident in Dansani, she stayed in Dansani, but the shooting incident occurred in the Transkei. That's what I can recall.
I see that Mr. Twala says he was unhappy with the check that he received, but he was too afraid to do anything about it.
Yes, my lord. Mr. Twala made it very clear to us that there was a group of guards that worked with Colonel de Kock, that if you queried anything regarding the check or queried anything about other people working, he says you wouldn't see the light of day the following day.
And if we can turn to the statement, in Vimbi, actually I can pick up that middle name. Looks like it's is it
Vusani.
Is it Vusani Fukazi? So he indicates that he was part of APLA, fighting for the freedom of black people in South Africa. But then he was arrested in 1988, was in prison until 1989, and then became a member of the Askaris. Now, interestingly, in paragraph 3, he states that he was transferred to the farm in East London, which was then the base for us and the security branch in East London. Did he indicate where this farm or Askari base was?
He did indicate to me where it was, and I confirmed that it was the same place that I knew that they were working, that they were from. I can state it like that.
And where was this farm?
It's just past the Johnson & Johnson's factory out on Summer Pride Way, towards Ndatsani area.
Okay.
As the crow flies, my lord, it would probably be about 4-5 k's, maybe less, give or take, from where the Highgate Hotel is.
So people at that farm It was roughly in the same vicinity, 4 or 5 k's from the Highgate Hotel. It's likely that those travelling to and from the farm would they potentially have passed the Highgate Hotel?
Yes, my lord, there was 2 ways past it. It was either on the N2 or it was that road past Summer Pride. That road also links up through to Cambridge. So there's actually 3. The road from Highgate links up to that road. So yes, it is possible.
Did the farm have a name at that time?
Not as far as I know, my lord. It was only known even to the one person that we got a statement from, warrant of Sergeant Fourie, is that it was just a farm that they worked with. There was no specific name for it.
So he says he was based at that farm until 1993 in paragraph 4. And his main task was to identify freedom fighters and to try and turn them. In paragraph 5 he makes mention that the commander was an individual by the name of Colonel De Lange.
That's correct, my lord.
Do you know who this Colonel De Lange is?
Yes, my lord. Colonel De Lange is also one of the people on the photo that has been shown to the court numerous times. Colonel De Lange has unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. Yeah.
And he was in the security branch at the time.
That's correct, my lord.
And also in paragraph 5 he makes mention of other names described as his handlers, a Grant Fourie and a Kenny Koopman. Have you come across those 2 individuals?
We have, my lord. We have found Grant Fourie. Grant Fourie has also given a statement where at the time of the incident he wasn't on the crime scene. His daughter was born. A statement was obtained. And then Kenny Koopman, we're still trying to locate Kenny Koopman. He is in the area, we're just not quite sure where. Our profiling hasn't given us proper detail, but we are following that up as we speak.
And they were both also members of the security branch at that time?
That's correct, according to what I've found up to now, yes, my lord.
And in paragraph 6, Mr. Fukazi says, during 1993, I can't recall the precise date, the whole unit was called to Vlakplaas in Pretoria. They were informed that the unit was closing, and he got a check, stayed there a day or 2 before, as he says, we parted ways. Did he indicate whether this was before or after the Highgate Hotel massacre?
My lord, he couldn't indicate the precise date. I left it. I didn't want to give any dates and stuff like that as to put an idea. But I asked him very clearly, is he sure it was 1993? And he stuck. He says it was definitely 1993. But he couldn't recall if it was before or after the Highgate Hotel. And he also couldn't recall the attack on the Highgate as well. He just said it didn't make sense to him because he knew, the Highgate was in the area, but why? It just didn't make sense. And so, but yeah, he never mentioned before or after. He just said that they were all summoned to the farm.
To the farm?
Vlakplaas?
Sorry, Vlakplaas. That was also a farm,
Yeah,
but it was in north of Pretoria.
Apologies, my lord.
Did he indicate perchance whether he was aware that police officers frequented the Highgate Hotel, the bars there?
My lord, not as far as I can remember.
While we're talking about Colonel De Lange, my attorney reminds me that Exhibit E, that was the affidavit. Sorry, we're talking about the investigation diary C63. De Lange, Colonel W.J. De Lange is mentioned. So the date is the 14th of June 1993 at 14:55 hour. Statement of Colonel W.J. De Lange received and filed under A clip. And the reference is A51. Is this the same Colonel De Lange?
My lord, yes, that is the same Colonel De Lange.
And I can't recall, but do we have a copy of that statement?
My lord, if I'm correct, we did have evidence regarding that, where there's certain documents in that case docket. I think it's from 50 to 55 that we haven't been able to trace. And I'll just have to go and go through transcripts again, but I did mention it in the previous appearance.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have we don't have a copy of that particular statement, it seems. Then in paragraph 9, Mr. Takazi says, yes, there were individuals in our ranks who were part of other attacks after the disbandment of the unit. And as far as I recall, those that were involved were all arrested. Which attacks were those?
My lord, according to Mr. Fukazi, they mentioned that one of his ex-colleagues he later heard was arrested for the Baha Church incident in Dansani, and also the Heidelberg attack was members that were part of the Askari group. That's what he said.
So these are actually Askaris who, following the disbandment of the unit, were then involved in attacks on civilian targets.
My lord, that's correct. He never mentioned any names. He just said that's were colleagues that were with him.
Because it certainly might be worthwhile to try and probe which Askari members were involved in attacks on other hotels and soft targets. My lord, we think that might be a line of inquiry to look at which of those Askari members were involved in attacks on other hotels and resorts where civilians were killed. Because it may be that.
Yes, I've noted that.
I must say, I find it quite ironic, Captain, that Mr. Fukazi in paragraph 11 says that they wouldn't have attacked the Highgate Hotel because the objective was to ensure a peaceful transition. Do you also find that somewhat ironic?
I do. I do wonder.
Especially since he says that some of his colleagues in the Askaris were involved in attacks on civilians after the disbandment.
Yeah, I agree with the court, my lord.
And then lastly, if we can turn to the statement of Petrus Olifanti, my lord, that's Exhibit YY. So he says he was stationed at the Askari unit in East London in 1992. However, he was arrested in 1991 in Soutpansberg, and he was taken to East London, where he was part of the Ascari unit there. Although that's a little confusing. I'm assuming that when he was arrested in Zuid-Pansberg, he was still, was he with Mkhonto weSizwe or with APLA before he became an Ascari?
My lord, I understood it that he was then still part of APLA at
He
the
was
time
part
of his
APLA.
arrest.
Then in paragraph 3 he says, during 1992 I was involved in a shootings incident in Ndonsane, was at number 12, and was later found guilty for culpable homicide, and I was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. Did he indicate what that shooting was about?
My lord, he never indicated. He just said that he shot somebody, and I also couldn't determine whether it was because he was part of the Ascari, or was it something, a crime that happened outside his work. I wasn't able to determine that. He was a very unwilling witness at the time, as I indicated in my previous evidence. Is that he came to a point where he refused to talk to me. He wouldn't answer questions. I then had to ask Captain Batlakana to chat to him and obtain the relevant statement, although we were there together.
Do you know whether he served the 5 years imprisonment that he was sentenced to?
No, he did not serve the 5 years. It was just, he was found guilty, and after that he went home. He wasn't in prison at all.
I see he says it was suspended for 5 years, so that explains why he didn't serve time.
That's correct, my lord.
And he also makes mention of Sergeant Ken Koopman, who you're still trying to trace, as well as a Lieutenant Kobus Smith.
Yes.
Did you ever come across this Kobus Smith?
My lord, we have traced Kobus Smith, but he has not been very cooperative. We have now, in the last week, we have found out where his precise address is, and he will be visited and a statement obtained from him, because it's not he was also mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, by Gawan Fourie, that they work together. He's also indicated in another matter that we was investigating.
Okay, it would certainly be good to hear from Smith and the others once you've been able to interview them. Just a few other follow-up questions on other matters. Were you able to trace Dave Toik?
My lord, Dave Toik is in East London, we know that. I have visited Selborne, the high school that he was. I got the details that I needed from them. I then went to the Moth, I call him the Moth Club, to approach and ask them for assistance, and they were quite willing to give the details that I needed. And I've been able to trace him, but I know that he is around, and I'll definitely get him. My lord, I was off sick for the whole of last week because of my heart giving me some issues. So I haven't been completely into finalising everything that the court has ordered me to do. That's just the situation that I was in last week.
Thanks, Captain. And were you able to follow up an individual with the name of Wayne Bezuidenhout?
No, my lord. I can't recall a Wayne Bezuidenhout.
Okay.
Sorry, my lord. If I could ask you just to remind me on that, but I don't recall that.
All
Wayne
right. So
sorry.
perhaps during tea time, we'll give you the details of this individual whose name is allegedly Wayne Bezuidenhout. We we're not entirely sure who he is, but information was given to Bernice Woodfield,
Okay.
and perhaps we'll just talk to you during tea time about the possibility of tracing him.
Thank you, my lord.
Were you able to trace the APLA record seized by the SADF, which I understand was then given to SAPS?
No, my lord.
So the National Archives, Defence Archives, Police Archives, they don't have them?
There's, the police, the National Archives has nothing. We did a check on the National Office, Wachter. There's no information, no files at all on the APLA incidents and members.
Okay. And lastly, were you able to confirm the Yellowwoods case number?
My lord, the Yellowwoods case number, I did have it. The one that we had was the case number that we spoke about in the previous session. I'll just have to just recall that again, but I think we have got the right case number. I will confirm with the court on that, my lord. Sorry, there's certain things that I've just neglected to just make sure that I followed up correctly.
My learned junior says that you had been in touch with Interpol about tracing Bayman Lombard. Any news on his whereabouts?
My lord, we have been in contact. The member that has been assisting me from Interpol has really gone out his way to assist us. We spoke again last week, Monday, regarding it, Monday afternoon. There's a challenge for Interpol at the moment. I'm not going to get into that, but the guy, they know where he is. He's been seen as a high risk person. However, I've had no confirmation from him to say whether he is available, whether we can get him to come and give evidence virtually. If once they inform me that the telephone number, because I wanted them to confirm his contact details, once they confirm that, we will then go through DIRCO to have the necessary done for the virtual. But I've had no feedback from Interpol at this stage in this past week. Monday was the last I've heard, and he said to me that he will contact me as soon as he has positive information.
And then lastly, unless my colleagues come up with fresh questions, am I right in saying that you were able to extract the terrorist album from National Archives when you were pursuing the Ascari line of inquiry?
We only extracted some of the photos and names, some of the names, that's all. It's not the whole album itself. There's just a part of the albums and a part of the names. That's all that we could get from the National Archives with regards to the Ascari, the terrorist album.
Is there any reason why the archives wouldn't give you the whole terrorist album?
No, there's no reason. That's all they had. They never had anything else. We also took that up with General Buchner, who was the one that informed us that he actually started the terrorist album. And what we were able to show him, he said, no, that wasn't the album that he is busy with or that he set up when he left the National Office. So at this stage, all we got is that which we got from National Archives was a section of each and nothing more.
And you say that was simply photographs and names?
There were photographs and a couple of photographs and names, that's it. But one would think that, those years there was a proper album, my lord, that was put out. You'd have the photo and on the back you'd have the name, but it's not like that at all. It's not an album as General Buchner explained to us how it was set out.
And just remind us, how did General Buchner describe the album?
General Buchner described the album that he had photos 4 photos of individuals in the investigation diary, and then under each one would be a number, and on the back of that page you would have the name of the specific person and where he had been, what he had been, what his part was, in which group he was affiliated to, and things like that. But that's not what we were given. It was just half of files of a terrorist album, if I can put it that way.
Now those are currently not before the court.
No.
Can we ask you to put them up as exhibits before this inquest court?
Well, Lord, I can do that. It's quite a big thing, but we can do that. I'm not sure if we can print, because it's a lot of pages. I don't know if we can put it on a USB or something. I'm not sure, but we'll do that, my Lord.
Okay. If we can do that during the course of this week, as it's the final week of the
Yes.
inquest.
We'll do that, my Lord.
Thank you, Captain. No further questions, my Lord.
Thank you, Mr. Barney. Mr. Governor, anything?
No, the examination, but I'm just going to ask Captain Peterson if you could show me that affidavit to Mr. Twala. I think he's in possession of that. Just Mr. Twala's affidavit. I think that is the original.
That's the original one with
The correct affidavit.
that's the correct affidavit of the Highgate matter.
No, I think this is a clearer copy than the one that you have, so I don't know if you want to hand this up as the exhibit. Or is it the same? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure we can compare it. Looks like mine is the original. Perhaps the captain can just look at it.
Hello, this is the original one, this one, yeah. Yes.
This is the one that I have.
That's the one that you had, yes, sorry.
So I got the original.
As a copy.
Thank you.
I have no question.
Sorry, my lord, can I just say, the question that Varney asked regarding Raymond Lombard, I just want to make it clear to the court that we have really gone out of our way to try and get hold of this guy to come and give evidence. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes to get hold of him. He has been found. His address in Manchester is available. We got that. It was confirmed that he is there. But unfortunately, due to an incident which he was involved in, he's now seen as a high risk individual in England. And what's also transpired is that according to Interpol, things have changed at Interpol. So they can only rely on their colleagues from the England police to assist, where things used to be a little bit different. So I don't know if that could be the delay, but I must say the person that I'm working through, one of Savimpi, is quite positive that we will get hold of him and that we will have him available. It's just the time issue that's really catching us, and that's where we are at the moment.
My Lord, there have been developments in relation. Well, my Lord, since there are no further questions for Captain Peterson.
I see. Okay, sorry. Captain, thank you once again.
Thank you, my lord.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
We might be able to speak to you again later. Thank you.
My Lord, I'm just advised that the court's IT department now say that the boardroom, where we were hoping to have the live feed from our witness in Turkey,
Yes.
that boardroom is now occupied, so we don't have access to it. So they're now going to try and set up the audiovisual equipment in the court, and they said it'll take about 20 minutes to do so. So perhaps we can have a slightly longer tea break.
Yes. I'm just wondering what happened in the meantime. Who is who's taken possession of that venue.
Yes, clearly something of greater priority, my lord, but we don't know what it is.
Yes, yes. Very well, Mr. Varney. The remaining witnesses will be, the history will be received virtually. So arrangements will be made in that regard. So we were told that we were going to adjourn to the boardroom, which is better equipped to attend to it. But Mr. Varney has now indicated there's a new message that might put a little bit of a span in the works. Nevertheless, we'll take the morning adjournment and we'll think again once we're ready to proceed with the virtual evidence.
We'll send a message as soon as we're ready.
Very well, very well. Thank you.
We thank the court for the indulgence. The court IT staff managed to set up this internet link with our witness, who is currently in a hotel lobby somewhere in Turkey.
We're indebted to the staff.
My lord, before we swear in the witness, we'd just like to hand up two unsigned versions of the statements of Mark Sebastian Bush, who's currently with us, as well as Stephen Lee Good, who will be testifying also online this afternoon. And my lord, we've marked these statements AAA and B.
Very well. Thank you. Is the current witness Mr. Bush?
Yes, Mr. Bush, Mark Sebastian Bush.
Very well.
My lord, as I mentioned, they are unsigned. We will get both Mr. Bush and Mr. Good to read their statements into the record when they are under oath.
Very well.
Now, my lord, because of the technical setup, the IT people have asked whether I can go into the box because the laptop is closest to the link. So with the leave of the court, I'd like to get into the box together with my learned colleague who's going to handle the laptop.
It's getting worse. All right. You probably have no choice, Mr. Varney.
My lord, my learned friends for the state said they're very happy to have me in the box.
In the box.
They
I'm
wanted me
sure
there all
about
the
that
time.
too. No, very well. You're welcome. You're welcome. You and the attorney.
My lord, you might have to swing around a little to
Yes,
view
to-
Mr.
yes,
Bush.
Very well.
Perhaps I'll hand over to your lordship for the swearing in.
Yeah, so we can swear him in.
Good morning. State your full names to the court, please.
Good morning. Mark Sebastian Bush.
Thank you. Do you have any objection in taking the oath?
No, none at all.
Do you consider the oath binding on your conscience?
Yes,
Do you swear that the evidence you will give in front of the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
Please raise your right hand and say, so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Witnesses, Mr. Zimmerman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bush. Mr. Varney, your witness.
As the court pleases. Mr. Bush, Firstly, we greatly appreciative that you've been able to join us, even though while you're travelling in Turkey. So on behalf of the court and the state, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. Mr. Bush, we have handed up an unsigned copy of your statement to the court and to our learned friends for the state. But because it is an unsigned version and wasn't attested, now that you're under oath, I'd like you to read your statement from paragraph 1 all the way through to the end into the record.
Would that be easier for you to do, considering the time delay, or should I'll do my best?
I think let's try. We can hear from you. If we run into problems, I'll take over, but you can commence from paragraph 1.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to reopen it. I've just closed it off. So, from number 1. So, I, the undersigned, Mark Sebastian Bush. I'm an adult male, currently residing in Kingston upon Hull in the United Kingdom. The facts stated herein are within my own personal knowledge, unless the contact indicates otherwise, and are to the best of my knowledge true and correct. I have prepared the statement to outline the events that transpired at the Highgate Hotel on the evening of the 1st of May 1993, the Highgate Massacre. On the 1st of May 1993, at around 4 o'clock, 1600 hours, I attended a braai with Wendy Bush, Stephen Good, at our neighbour's house, who are George and Cynthia Moore, on number 5 Meyer Road, East London 5247. The house and its close proximity to the Highgate Hotel can be seen in Google Maps photo annexed here to, marked A. I was 27 years old and I was employed by the East London Municipality as an electrician at the time. I have also served in the army and have been deployed in Angola and resided at number 3 Meyer Road, East London. At around 2200 hours, while in the garden at our neighbour's house after the braai, we heard loud noises. Wendy remarked that it sounded like a car backfiring. Wendy also remarked that there was a funny smell in the air and even asked what was in the braai that was making her tear up. Initially, Stephen and I thought that the Highgate was on fire due to the amount of smoke that appeared. Given my military training, I immediately recognized the distinctive sound of an AK-47. Excuse me.
Take your time.
Of an AK-47 fire. Apologies. I think you might need to take over.
Okay, just catch your breath. My Lord, I seek leave to read the rest of his statement in while he composes himself.
Yes, very well. I think that's a more practical way of dealing with it at this juncture, Mr. Vine. Please go ahead.
As the court pleases.
Yes.
Mr. Bush, I will take over. My Lord, from paragraph 7.
Very well.
Initially, Stephen and I thought that the Highgate Hotel was on fire due to the amount of smoke that appeared. Given my military training, I immediately recognized the distinctive sound of AK-47 fire, as I had received extensive training on these weapons and knew that sound well. I also recognized that there was tear gas in the air. Wendy and the children went inside, and Stephen and I then ran towards the Highgate Hotel to see what had happened. We were the first people to arrive at the scene. We encountered a man exiting the hotel. He had a revolver in his hand, remarking that they had gotten away and shooting randomly towards the direction that they must have run off in. We encountered an injured man at the entrance of the public bar who needed help. By that time, some first responders had arrived and the ambulance crew that had arrived refused to enter the scene because they did not have gas masks for the tear gas. Stephen and I dragged the man that we found at the entrance out and demanded a stretcher. Then we re-entered the bar and continued helping other injured victims. We found Neville Bayling and managed to get him out of the bar with the help from the fire crew who had arrived on the scene. Thereafter, we entered the ladies' bar where we immediately saw multiple deceased and injured victims. We found Doreen Rousseau heavily bleeding from her leg. We found also Carl Weber, who I knew through Megan Boucher. He was also injured and heavily bleeding. I assisted him by applying pressure to his wounds with my bare hands. He was bewildered and delirious, asking for his clothes to be removed. I think that this was because of the tear gas and the loss of blood. Stephen went to search for more survivors and helped Megan Boucher, who had been shot in the leg, out of the ladies' bar. A police officer arrived on the scene, entered the ladies' bar and demanded that we vacate the scene. Stephen and I refused to leave, saying that as soon as someone else was prepared to come in and help the injured, we would go. But until then, we would not stop helping people. The firefighters eventually relieved me and Stephen and came into the bars to assist. As we walked out of the ladies' bar, I shouted at this officer who had asked us to leave, as he was acting terribly towards the victims and clearly didn't know what he was doing. One of the first things we are taught, and this is a universal principle, is to save lives first. We left the Highgate Hotel and returned home covered in blood and without our shirts. We cannot recall exactly what happened to our shirts, but I believe we used them to help stop the bleeding of the wounded, or as a face mask for the tear gas for some of the survivors. On the way to and from the Highgate Hotel, I do not recall seeing anyone fleeing the scene or in the streets. Despite being one of the first persons on the scene, Stephen and I were never contacted by the police nor any other officials to provide a statement. We were, however, interviewed by the Daily Dispatch newspaper a few days later. The trauma of the event has deeply affected me and my family. Within 3 weeks after the incident, we sold our house and moved to the United Kingdom because Wendy and I were concerned about our safety. To this day, one of the most disturbing parts about the Highgate Massacre was the disregard for the preservation of life displayed by the first responders on the scene. On 20th August 2025, I reconnected with survivors Neville Bayling and Carl Weber via social media. Through them, Stephen, Wendy and I were put in touch with Cliff Decker-Hoffmeyer, the attorneys representing the survivors and families of the victims of the Highgate Massacre. A copy of the Daily Dispatch article dated 10 May 1993 is annexed here to Mark B. I have never seen that article until Cliff Decker-Hoffmeyer provided me with a copy. There are several factual inaccuracies contained in the article, and my initial reaction to seeing it was that it was either poor reporting or that the media had intentionally tried to change the facts. For example, the article says that we saw a police patrol vehicle rushing towards the Highgate and that we travelled to the Highgate by car. That did not happen. We walked to the Highgate as we were approximately 200 to 300 metres away from the Highgate. It would have been impractical to drive. I never saw anyone administering bandages to the injured man that Stephen and I pulled from the public bar, nor did I correct the way that these bandages were being applied. I never saw a policeman run into either of the baths and then run out and be sick. I never saw the riot unit of the police arrive. I only saw one policeman referenced to at paragraph 14. And there was no young girl attending to Carl Weber in the ladies' bar. I assisted Carl myself. It is my sincere hope that this inquest will shed light on those responsible for the Highgate Massacre and that the wrongdoers will be brought to justice. Mark Sebastian Bush. Mr. Bush, do you confirm that is your statement, and you confirm the accuracy of the contents?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And Mr. Bush, I'm sorry to take you back to that harrowing night, which clearly was very traumatic for you and is still traumatic for you this day to have to recall what took place. So I only have a few questions for you. When you left the home of your neighbour to come and investigate what was happening at the Highgate Hotel, and looking at the Google map that has been attached to your statement as Annexure A, can you just explain to the court approximately where the house that you were having the braai was located and the route you took to get to the hotel?
If you are looking at the from the corner of the Highgate Hotel and you're looking diagonally in the direction of Meyer Road, there are two houses on the corner. I do apologise, it's been a long time since I was there. There is a road that runs between number 3 and number 5. My house was the house on the right-hand corner, and the George Moore's house was the house on the left-hand corner. I do apologise, I can't remember the street's name off of Meyer Road.
Okay. Do you happen to have Annexure A with you? I don't know whether it's perhaps on your screen, but am I right in saying...
Just... I'll just drop my phone, let me just pick it up quickly.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
And if I'll have a look and see if I can see this map. I do apologise, yeah? Yeah. So, if we are looking at, so that would be Wood Street. So, with the Highgate Hotel, if I was stood on Bolden Road, looking towards Meyer Road, and if you see the intersection of Meyer Road and Wood Road, the house with the red roof to the right of Wood Road would be number 3 Meyer Road, and then on the opposite side where you've got the red pin dropped for the Google map, that would be George Moore's house.
Okay. So where the red pin is where the braai was taking place?
That is correct, yes.
And I'm also correct in saying that the Highgate Hotel is depicted on the bottom right of the picture, and there is
that is correct, yes.
An orange marker on top of it with a knife and fork.
That is correct, yes.
So what route did you and Stephen take to get to the Highgate Hotel?
Straight diagonally across the field, directly at the most direct possible route that we could take. So we came out of George's house and we proceeded across the field via the shortest possible route to the Highgate Hotel. Okay,
so you would have crossed Mayer Road and then walked through that open field, and then
yes, that is correct. Yes,
and then crossed Baldwin Road. And I'm also right in saying that you would have then walked around to the front of the hotel where the car park is and the main entrances are.
That is correct, yes.
While you were walking along that route, did you notice anybody fleeing the hotel, either running or walking?
Not, I can't specifically say that we saw anybody specifically running or fleeing, but as we rounded the corner, we did see the gentleman with a revolver firing up the street, and that's as far as I can remember.
Right. So you've explained in detail in your statement what you were confronted with on your arrival at the hotel and the efforts that you made to attend to the victims, the injured persons. I'm not going to ask you to relive those traumatic experiences.
It's okay. I'm settled now, so I'm okay now.
But I do want to ask about the interactions you had with the ambulance staff and the other officials. Please explain to us why the ambulance staff were reluctant or refused to enter the hotel.
So upon arrival, when we got to the first entrance, there was a gent. He had appeared to have been shot through the back and was laying on his back. And when we got there, an ambulance had kind of just arrived at the same time. They had the back of the ambulance open, and when I got there, I said to them, "Are you going to help him?" And the ambulance people just turned around and said to me, "No, we need to wait." I said, "You can't wait. There are people injured here. You can see there's people injured here. There's someone you can get to." And they absolutely did nothing. They just basically looked at us. So Stephen and myself, we ran up the stairs. We grabbed the guy. I remember taking my right hand, putting it over the guy's intestine, holding it in place, and basically dragging the guy out, and then demanded a stretcher from the ambulance crew. I said, "Give me a stretcher and we'll get this guy onto the stretcher." And that we put him onto the stretcher.
And according to your statement, they refused to go into the hotel at that time. Is that correct?
They still refused. That they did refuse. They still didn't go in. They told us to wait. I turned around and I said to them, I said, "Can you give us some masks? Can you give us some bandages? Can you give us anything? Can you give us an oxygen mask? We'll go. We'll go and have a look for the people if you don't want to go in." And they point blank refused.
So as a result, you and Stephen then entered the hotel without any protective gear?
That is correct, yes. Stephen and I heard, we heard a voice calling. It sounded quite deep in the hotel, and looking through the haze of the tear gas and that, which was already burning and stinging our eyes and that, we could see someone laying on the floor calling out for help, and we didn't think twice about it. We ran into that building and we tried to drag Neville out, and he was a big fella.
At what point did this police officer arrive? How long had you been in the hotel attending to Neville and others when this officer emerged?
We had helped. We managed to drag Neville. Stephen and I were taking it in turn to drag Neville as far as we possibly could. A fire crew turned up. Now, in my role as an electrician with the East London Municipality, I work very, very closely with fire teams. So part of my duties was to go out onto domestic fire calls, etc., do the electrical isolation so that the fire services could go in and do whatever they needed to do, spray water, etc. When the fire service arrived, they asked me what I wanted them to do. I asked them to put their BAs on, get into the building, and see what they could do. And they suited up, and they were they helped. They are actually the guys who put Neville onto the stretcher. We managed to get Neville out the door, and they put Neville onto the stretcher. From there, Stephen and I went around to the ladies' bar, We went straight into the ladies' bar, and it was absolute carnage what we saw when we walked into there. So we had already helped Doreen. We knew that there were a number of deceased, just by sheer posture, etc. We helped Doreen, and from there, I sat down. I saw Carl laying on the floor. I sat down next to Carl, saw he was bleeding from both his arms, and I basically took my thumbs and I stuck them in Carl's wounds. And Stephen was asked me what I wanted to do, and Stephen only been 17 at the time. Stephen went around, he had a look, he found Megan, he took Megan out the building. It was when he came back into the building that this police officer appeared at the door and basically turned around and said anybody who's not involved in this needs to vacate the area. At which point Stephen turned around and said to him, we said to him, can you get someone in here to relieve us and we will vacate. And the police officer that came, he got really antsy about it. I told you to get out. And Stephen quite literally walked up to him and said, look, that's a friend of his. I suggest you go away. And that's the only police officer at that time that I saw. So it was, these things happen in minutes. So time scales, I couldn't tell you. It's still a blur.
Did the police officer go away?
He did, yes.
Do you recall whether he was in uniform or plain clothes?
As far as I can remember, I think, as I say, I didn't pay that much attention. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was one of the dog units. So, I don't recall plain clothes. So I would go that he would be in a South African police uniform.
And before you eventually left the hotel, once the firefighters had come in and had taken over, did any police officer or any other official take your details so that they could contact you at a later stage?
No. Absolutely no details taken. When the fire services came in, they didn't even come in with a stretcher or trauma board. They came in with what I would deem in the army as a canvas carry bag, where basically almost you're taking seriously wounded people out that aren't going to be. And they came in with a canvas type stretcher. At which point they took over. They started applying bandages, etc. And Stephen and I stood up and we quietly vacated. As we were walking out the building, the police officer that had originally come into the building was stood. So I passed him, Stephen and I passed him on our right-hand side, and I did basically turn around and tell him he was an idiot. At which point Stephen and I left the scene.
How was it that you and Stephen got to be interviewed by the Daily Dispatch newspaper?
I absolutely have no idea how they even found out that that we were there. When we arrived home, Stephen and I were absolute. When we got back, I was covered in Carl's blood from head to toe. When I walked in the door, my wife thought that I was the one who was injured, and basically took my clothes, threw them away. We got into the shower, had a clean up. And then the following day, I know Stephen was really, really struggling. And I suggested to him that would it help him, like to get some sleep and things like that, if I took him up to the Free Hospital to see the victims, if he just had a quick look in, would it help settle him down and know that people were getting the appropriate care and treatment and things like that. At which point Stephen said yes. Please, I honestly don't recall the time, but I took Stephen up. We went up to the ICU unit, had a quick look through the window, saw that the patients and that were being cared for. Stephen had a look. He seemed to settle down quite a while. And as we were exiting, Megan Boucher's mother, Mrs. Boucher, I've known her for donkey's years, and she saw us and wanted to know exactly why we were there. Kept it as brief as possible. We then tried to leave the building again, tried to leave the hospital ward again, and the ICU unit door was opened, and the nurse that was there called us back in. So we stuck our heads in the door quickly, just checked that everybody was okay, and we left the scene, went home. Daily Dispatch turned up after that.
Once that article had been published, I believe it was the 10th of May 1993, were you then contacted after the publication by police or any other officials?
Never ever spoken to a single police officer about the events of what took place on that day.
So at that time, you were at a traumatic scene in which a number of people had been shot dead and injured, and yet you were confronted by first responders who at first refused to enter the scene to assist desperately hurt people, and you were then instructed by a police officer to remove yourselves even though there were no other individuals helping the wounded. How did that impact you? What were your thoughts thereafter?
Well, to be quite honest, quite astounded really, when all that you're taught, when you're taught as a first aider, when you're taught as a human being, is that the primary function in life is to preserve life. Second, we preserve the scene. In the field that I work in at the moment, I'm a health and safety manager, and my primary function is preserve life, preserve people, and then preserve the scene. We'll deal with the any contamination, anything like that. We'll deal with it afterwards. And I was always taught as a first aider, the first priority was to preserve life, and that was probably the most shocking thing for me, was the lack of consideration for the injured parties. We couldn't help the deceased, but there were injured people. That should have been the number one priority, is preserve those people's lives. And it wasn't forthcoming. The fire service guys were good, but he was not impressed with the ambulance service, and certainly not impressed with the police. I thought the police were absolutely disgraceful.
Mr. Bush, before we wrap up your evidence in chief, today in court we actually have several of the survivors and family members, including two individuals who you assisted that fateful evening, Neville Bayling and Carl Weber. They and the family members of the deceased have asked me to place on record that they're extremely grateful for the heroic and courageous efforts that you carried out on that particular. They asked me to convey that to you.
Thank you.
No further questions, my lord.
Thank you, Mr. Wani.
My lord, if there's any cross-examination, we invite our
Will you
learned friends to come into the box.
swap? All right. Mr. Governor, if you want to.
I don't have any questions. It's only to thank Mr. Bosch for his assistance today and for reliving or obviously very traumatic, and thank him for giving us his time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Governor. I assume it's got nothing to do with the box.
I had that experience, I don't want it.
Excuse me, can I ask a question? Am I permitted to ask a question?
Yes, yes, of course.
That'll be in the hands of the court.
Of course, Mr. Bush. Go ahead, please.
You may proceed, Mr. Bush.
I just would like to ask the question, is one of the things I've stayed away from the evidence and tips and things like that. As an ex-military person, that I find quite astounding, and again a reflection on police and policing. In one of the statements, it stated that there were 56 shell casings found, and people didn't know why there were 56 shell casings found. The answer to that question is pretty simple: is military and police personnel are trained that you never overfill a magazine. So if you're using 30-round magazines taped together, you load 26 rounds, or you load 28 rounds, so that the magazine doesn't jam. That adds up, as per Cole's statement, that adds up to exactly 56 rounds. And I don't know how the police have not identified that as something, as part of their investigation. I carried an R4 rifle. I'm trained in AK-47, Kalashnikov, everything. And it is standard practice for any good military or police personnel trained, when they take magazines together, you never overload or you never load to capacity. So 230-round magazines is exactly 56 rounds. I just wanted that put on record.
Thank you.
Thanks, thanks for that useful piece of information. In your view, as someone who has been trained to use firearms, does that indicate that the assailants that evening would probably have received some kind of firearm training or would be experienced in the use of firearms?
Absolutely. There is absolutely no doubt about it.
Thank you, Mr. Bush. Mr. Bush, unless you have any further insights to give us, we can, with the leave of the court, we can start to wrap up your evidence.
I just hope the victims get their the justice that they deserve. This is oh, here we go again. I can play this scene over in my head at any given day, at any given time. For 32 years, I can play this like a movie role in my head. And I can close this, and in my mind's eye, I can see this entire scene. Every single time I think about it, I can replay it, scene by scene by scene, and how poorly this was dealt with by the police and by the ambulance services. I can play this like a movie in my head over and over and over, and it's always the same movie.
Indeed. Mr. Bush, we hope that you find peace and closure. And again, we thank you for your courageous efforts that night and agreeing to assist this court this morning.
Anytime.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Varney. Thank you very much, Mr. Bush, for your assistance. That is much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Bush. We're now going to close this transmission.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Would you like to leave the box?
Before I leave the box,
oh, there's questions involved.
Unless my colleagues wish to cross-examine me, which I'm sure they do. Our next witness
Mr. Coleman is itching.
I can see that. Our next witness, Mr. Stephen Good, has indicated that he's actually only available at 14:45. So perhaps with your leave, we can adjourn until that time.
Very well. Very well. As I've indicated earlier, the remaining witness will also testify virtually because he is outside of the country. So arrangements have been made for that testimony to be taken later this afternoon. So I will then take the adjournment at this juncture, and we will reconvene to take the testimony of the remaining witness. The court will adjourn. Mr. Varney.
As the court pleases, my Lord, as discussed this afternoon, we have one witness,
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Lee Good. My Lord, we've handed up the unsigned version of his statement as Exhibit Triple B,
Yes.
BBB. Mr. Good, as you can see, my Lord, is on the screen.
Yes.
We are making history this afternoon because I believe it'll be the first time that testimony has been taken from someone who is driving a truck on a highway in the United Kingdom. Mr. Good had in fact stopped, but I understand that the police asked him to move, and he mentioned that within the next minute or so he'll be able to stop on the side of the road, and then we can commence with his testimony.
Speaking on your cell phone.
Yes, I think he is talking to us via his cell phone.
Yes, while driving. Not quite.
And perhaps before we swear him in, because I think he should have both hands on the steering wheel. Or it seems like he has one hand. Perhaps we can, maybe I can ask my attorney just to establish from Mr. Good how long he might be before he's able to stop.
Before he's able to pull off. All right.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi there.
Hi. Stephen, I just wanted to see how's it going. Are you going to be able to pull over soon?
I'll be able to pull over soon, yeah.
All right, perfect. Another minute or so?
I've just got the policeman behind me, that's all.
Right. Okay. We'll let you do your thing then. Will you give us a thumbs up when you've been able to pull over?
Oh, well, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, yeah.
Is my Lord happy to just give us a few moments, or do you want to adjourn and we call you back?
No, it's fine. I think Mr. Varney, let's hold on.
Okay, thank you, my Lord.
He indicated it should be shortly, so.
So can I just check, Mr. Good? Can you see me and hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Then we're going to swear you in.
Can Mr. Good state your full name to the court, please?
Sure, Stephen Lee Good.
Thank you. Do you have any objection in taking the oath?
Sorry?
Do you have any objection in taking the oath?
No, none at all.
Do you consider the oath binding on your conscience? Can't you hear me? Do you consider the oath binding on your conscience?
Oh, what, sorry?
Do you consider the oath binding on your conscience?
I'm just going to repeat that. Do you consider the oath binding on your conscience?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Do you swear that the evidence will give in front of the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Oh, yes.
Please raise your right hand and say, so help me God. Thank
Help me God.
you. What has this been sworn in?
Thank you, Mr. Varney.
As the court pleases. Mr. Good, before we start, just thanks again for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I understand you're on a road outside London, the United Kingdom, and that you had to move because the police asked you to. So thanks again for finding a safe place to stop and to give us your testimony. It's much appreciated.
No problem.
Mr. Good, we have handed up an unsigned version of your statement, and because it's unsigned, we need to read it into the record while you are under oath. Do you perchance have your statement in front of you?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we proceed, can I ask whether you have read the statement of Mr. Mark Sebastian Bush?
Yes.
Okay. Let us try. Your statement is quite short because you do rely on the detail of Mr. Bush's statement. But can I ask you to read your statement from paragraph 1 through to the end of the statement?
Yes, sure. Can we go from the I undersigned?
You can start from there, yes.
I, the undersigned, Stephen Lee Good, do hereby make oath and state that I'm an adult male currently residing in Lancaster, United Kingdom. The facts stated within are of my personal knowledge, less the context indicated otherwise, and are to be best of my knowledge and true and correct. May 1993, or around 1400, I attended a bride with Mark Bush, Wendy, at a neighbour's house, George and Cynthia Moore, at 5 Muir Road, East London, 5247. 18-year-old student at the time. I resided at 3 Muir Road, East London, 5247. Get the next page up. Accompanied Mark to the Highgate Hotel after we heard gunshots and smelled tear gas in the air. With him throughout the time we spent at the hotel. To avoid repetition, I will not repeat the accounts provided by Mark in his affidavit. Confirm the accuracy of his description. I should add that after we entered the hotel and assisted injured patrons, and as mentioned by Mark's affidavit, a police officer arrived and demanded that we leave. We refused to leave we refused to leave since nobody else was helping the injured, and we stated that we would only go when medics or police started helping. We confronted the officer aggressively because of his obstructive attitude and lack of action at the scene. I was horrified that no officials were helping the injured. Despite being one of the first persons at the scene, no officer took our contact details or were in contact by the police or any other officials to provide a statement. I was therefore interviewed. I was, however, interviewed by the Daily Dispatch newspaper a few days after the Highgate massacre, a copy of which is attached to Mark's affidavit. I note that there are several factual inaccuracies contained in the article. I point out by Mark in his affidavit. The trauma of the event has deeply affected me and my family. Within a few weeks after the incident, we sold our house and moved to the United Kingdom. I was very frustrated and angry with the lack of response from the police and medics at the scene. They displayed no courage that night. More lives could have been saved with more proper emergency action. I've served with with the, sorry. I served with the UK Defence Force, so I am no stranger to conflict and violence. Nothing comes close to what I saw that night, or felt that night.
Thank you, Mr. Good. We don't want you
I
to...
suffer from PTSD anyway.
Yes, indeed. And we're going to try and keep this as brief as possible. And since you've already confirmed the details in Mark Bush's affidavit, we won't go into the minute detail. Can I just check, when you and Mark decided to quickly move over to the Highgate Hotel to investigate what was happening, did you encounter anybody fleeing from the scene?
Yes, I can't remember. The only person that we can remember coming, or I can remember coming out, is the guy with a pistol.
Okay.
They're getting away.
And did you assume that this was one of the patrons who was attempting to
Yeah, I did, yeah.
chase after the perpetrators?
Yeah, I did, yes.
So once inside, and you were attempting to assist injured patrons, one can just imagine the horrors that you were confronted with. In your statement,
It was the first time I've seen a dead body.
Indeed. In your statement, you indicate that a police officer came over and attempted to have you and Mark removed from the scene. Can you just explain how that unfolded?
We basically went into the men's side first, and that's where the majority of the tear gas and was. The police officer incident happened when we went into the women's side of the pub. Come out the door and go back into a different door. And Mark was with Carl. I was checking pulses up in Megan, and he came to the door telling us to get out if we're not involved in it. And I challenged him. I said, right, well, when somebody comes in and takes over from us, we will then get out. Which came out. We started with the attitude, so I an attitude as well, and yeah. So he eventually ended up walking away.
So you state in your statement that you confronted him aggressively. Can you just explain why you saw the need to stand up to this police officer?
Because nothing was happening. Nobody was helping anybody. The only people there was myself and Mark, and he was telling us to leave. Which, me personally, is wrong. It was a totally wrong attitude to come in with. Sorry.
Yes.
And, yeah, I mean, nobody was doing anything. They all stood outside, and nobody was coming in and helping anybody.
While you were on the scene and before you left, did any police officer come and take your details, given that you and Mark were the first to enter the hotel?
Oh, nobody did.
And I understand that you were...
The only officer we encountered was the officer that told us to get out.
Right. And he took no interest in getting your contact details for possibly taking a statement?
Whatsoever. None whatsoever.
And you also indicate in your statement that sometime later you were interviewed by the local newspaper, the Daily Dispatch, and an article was published on or about the 10th of May 1993. After that article was published, were you contacted for purposes of making a statement?
Never.
Mr. Good, I just want to point out that today in the court we have some of the family members of the deceased who were murdered that night. And we also have two of the survivors who you helped to treat and to get out of the hotel, Neville Bayling and Carl Weber. And they have put it to me that but for your intervention, but for you and Mark going into that hotel, they would have died because they would have bled out. And they have asked me to acknowledge what you did that evening and to pay homage to the courage that you and Mark displayed and for standing up to that police officer and insisting on helping them. So on their behalf, we say thank you to you.
Thank you.
No further questions, my lord.
Thank you, Mr. Vani. Mr. Governor?
Thank you, Lord. My Lord, we have no questions for Mr. Good. Safe to say to thank him for his testimony today. It was obviously a very traumatic event for him, and to just thank him for expressing what he went through on that.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. Anything further, Mr. Vani?
Nothing further from my side, my lord.
Thank you. Mr. Good, I want to thank you for your assistance. We appreciate it very much.
Very much.
My lord, may we excuse Mr. Good?
Yes, very well. Thank you, Mr. Vani.
Mr. Good, from our side, thanks again for giving us the testimony, which obviously was very difficult. Not only are you testifying from a truck, but we've asked you to relive the trauma you experienced that night. You are formally excused, and you may continue with your journey. Godspeed to you.
Thank you very much. Yes. What you guys are doing.
My lord, we have no further witnesses for today. Tomorrow we intend to call our private investigator, retired Brigadier Clifford Marion, and the state might call Captain Peterson.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Vani. And your attorney. We will then adjourn the proceedings. That was the sum total of the witnesses that we had available for today. We will reconvene tomorrow morning to continue with the testimony. The court will adjourn.
All right.